Jingle. Great. So what have we just read today? What have we just read? How do you say it? Thank you. Chapter 9, starting at verse 1. Again, lots of names. And whenever I read Nehemiah, it's just like name after name. It's like, bring them on. How many unpronounceable names can you write in one chapter? But it's interesting. I won't write the names. It's always think the names give you something more. It gives you something more real. I mean, you can actually identify with real people who are really there. Certainly in journalism, you don't just want random comments from people. You want a comment from someone with a name.
Yeah, it makes it trustworthy.
It makes it trustworthy, doesn't it? So I always think it sort of makes it somehow real. It's about real people in a real place in a real time.
And here he also mentions Ezra, who was with them, that we read from a lot earlier, and also some famous events and figures from the Old Testament, like Abraham, the promise to Abraham.
Yeah, it's good. It's interesting, isn't it, how they go through this and re-explain all the sort of what's happened, the promise to Abraham, the escape from Egypt.
Yeah, Moses.
And then it's quite interesting because actually then they talk about stiffening the necks and becoming sort of arrogant in their own sense, sort of trusting in themselves and losing a sort of sense of God in their lives. Because it did somewhere it said they returned. Yes, but they stiffened their necks and determined to return to their slavery in Egypt, which I thought was really interesting. Because actually, presumably, they didn't actually really go back to Egypt, did they? It's just, this is almost metaphorical, right? It's like they were as slaves in Egypt. They stiffened their necks and determined to return to their slavery. It's almost like, they're building these this fake, this idol, this golden calf. They're stiffening their necks, which is literally like going back to slavery in Egypt. It's interesting.
I remember when we had our Bible study classes on Zoom with Malcolm. So we looked at different chapters from Genesis. Yes, we also mentioned this, that bad things happened to them in Egypt. So,
right. It's very interesting.
And it's interesting how this was also reflected in the Psalm. So about this 40 years long, I detested that generation. So.
Yeah, and also I've got a message from Fira. Ezra is picturing God's endless mercy and patience to the Israelites, like a testament and a reminder to the people at the same time. It is true, because they keep on, when we've read these books in morning prayer, one is aware of the fact that they just keep on doing naughty stuff. And then God comes and punishes them, and then they're all best buddies again. And then they go off, and after a while they're naughty again, and they get punished. Sort of the earth kind of opens up and swallows them and does all sorts of nasty things, and to them in their punishment. So, but it is interesting because I often find we're all a bit like the Israelites, aren't we? We all continually seem to, and we have sort of this problem like them. We kind of think we're going to be good, it's like we're going to be good forever, and then we start being naughty again.
That's why, every Sunday we have something.
Yeah, exactly.
The
story of the Israelites is really just a metaphor of all our individual
lives.
lives.
At the same time, there's hope that it can gradually be better for us. So.
Exactly, hope. It's a great word. Yeah. And then we go on to the next one.
Actually, there were so many names here. You don't normally expect it.
You don't expect it. Exactly. Again, it was like name day. Wow. And it's actually really interesting. And also, I did like this idea because in the first one we talked about stiffen their necks against God's word. But here's the lovely thing. He talks about who risked their necks for my life. I just love the way the word neck has been used in two ways. Stiffen their neck against God, and the other way they've risked their necks for Paul, right? He's writing the letter and he says these people have risked their necks for my life.
And this also looked very interactive, and so I remember what you said about the modern version of epistles being some online comments on social media, and this actually felt like
it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, because there were lots of names, and then the last sentence is actually all the churches of Christ greet you, so it's very interactive. It's not just
You're right.
reading some.
Greet one another with a holy kiss. Exactly. Go out there and do something. But it's true, isn't it? And that also he talks about, I commend to our sister Phoebe, who's an early woman mentioned in the Gospel. In fact, there's some interesting commentary as a site I sometimes go to for instant comments if I have 30 seconds between morning prayer and what have I just read. And it's quite interesting. They talk about Phoebe is sort of Paul underlining the value of women also serving in the church. And then various actually the commentary pulls out a few of these people in the list. Greet Priscilla and Aquila, who are obviously a married couple who do great work for the church. And the sort of value of a sort of a loving couple who between themselves have that great love, which is a sort of a gift from God. But also later on, a bunch of other things. But Ampliatus, who's about halfway down that, greet Ampliatus, my beloved. Apparently, I like the story, in the early catacombs from Rome, the 1st and 2nd century, there is a tomb with Ampliatus on it in the Roman catacombs. And some people are led to believe that might be the same person who's mentioned here. But again, it's lovely because it sort of puts this idea of them being similar, real people doing stuff. And then it goes on, there's some other interesting comments about the family of Astrobulus. There was a commentary pulled him out, the commentary I used, pulled him out and they talk about the family and about how families, the early church would often meet in homes, people's homes. And so, obviously, homes have families living in them, and this is interesting sort of mention of a family home being a place, a church, a small church where people gather. So it's great when you start looking at these names and unpacking them a little bit. You find behind each name there's actually a story.
I also found it fascinating. So we just read it very quickly as a short passage, but all of those are actually saints or martyrs, and there are stories behind each.
Exactly, each person. The story becomes so alive. Yeah, it's great. Good. We've been nattering for almost 8 minutes. Wow.
So it's time to finish.
It's definitely time to finish and go live your Friday and have a fantastic weekend, and hopefully see you all at the weekend. Okay, right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah.